Hi, it's Carol from Glass Art Diva. Today I'm going to just talk a little bit about making a jig. It's really important that when you have a piece that requires you to have exact lines, that you make a jig for yourself. And a jig is just basically a bunch of pieces of wood, pieces of metal that you can put together to make sure that you have an absolute square for your piece. And then the piece is not going to grow as you are cutting and placing your glass along here. So some people find that if they just leave their piece like this and then try to cut and piece their glass together, you might not have it exactly right here. It might be a little less here, a little bit more there, etc. And that's where a jig comes into play. So for a jig, you can use pretty much anything. I've got some wood here. These are just yardsticks. Some pieces of metal here that have had holes drilled into them. That's my husband's job. And you can get this metal at a hardware store. And he just takes his drill with a metal bit, drills the holes every so far in the piece. And then on top of that, we have horseshoe nails. Now, horseshoe nails are usually used in leaded glass, and it helps to hold the lead in place without adding growth to it. But I find horseshoe nails are great for pounding into wood for making your jig. Or you can have these push pins. They're made out of metal. Let me see if I can bring it out a bit for you. They're made out of metal. And I think I found these at an office supply store. They're quite long here, and that's great for when you have to pound these into your board, whether it be wood or, in this case, it's Homastote board. Homastote is like a soundproof board because it's supposed to be fireproof. And as you can see from all my markings here on here, I've had heat touch this board many, many, many times. So what I do when I begin my my jig, I take what's this? An angle iron or a square, and it's supposed to be square. And I measure here where it's supposed to go along this line, and then I will take a couple of my pins and I'll hammer them into place. Now I have this kind of a hammer. This side I use for pounding. This side I use for my lead. My hobby came when I want to tap it up against my glass to make sure it conforms to the piece of my glass. Anyway, I just hammer this in like so. That looks pretty good. Now, you can either use this square. I'm not savvy on tool names. I just call it the thingamajig or whatever. Or you can use this kind of a tool. As long as you get it square, it has to be absolutely square. And again, you hammer it into place. I much prefer this thing over above this gizmo thing here. But to each their own. And I'll hammer that into place. Again, I have this over here. Now, when you're piecing this, you'll have odd size pieces of wood or pieces of metal. And so one should go, as an example, I can't get this in here to fit properly. So what I'll do is I'll move this piece here and I'll run it this way so it lines up here. There's a piece of my pin came out. There we go. So I'll go this way with it. So this moves up, and now I can fit this in. So you have to play with it a bit. So I'll hammer this back in. Use it again. Use your tools here to make sure you have an absolute square. Hammer it in because you want them sturdy. It cannot move. And we'll do the same over here. Line it up to your line here. Looks good. Put your pins in. Like so. Again, nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. This one needs an extra pin because you see it wiggled. You do not want it to wiggle. It has to stay in place. Now for the wooden one, again, same idea. Make sure that it's okay that it's over a bit as long as it's nice and square here. And this is where I'm going to use my horseshoe nails. And again, hold it. And adjust it wherever you want it, as long as it's square. And so now you have a perfectly square piece, and as you build your stained glass piece, it's not going to get larger than you want. And also you're going to be able to bring it up against the edges here so that it's a nice straight line. I hope this helps you. Have a great day. See you again soon. Bye now.